Hi, it's a pleasure. I'm Ste Ribeiro. I'm an architect, urbanist, and also I write for a magazine of lifestyle and fashion. And thinking about my formation as an architect and my interest in architect and design, I question my place. I'm really happy to see all the other talks, and I question myself as an architect in Brazil and a black woman. I feel very lonely because most of the time we are associated in a place that in a very poor place, because this is the reality of the Brazilian society, and because I had access of help to make graduation from the government, I see myself in a different place from the other women, and it just makes me question and also who defines what is aesthetic black woman in Brazil. And so this is a research that I've been making of black women that they create fashion and objects, because I have a lot of interest in fashion. So this has been very interesting for me. Also, the one that I have on my head is made from a black woman, and they've been creating different aesthetics sometimes that escape a little bit from the African. Everything started when I started writing for Marie Claire magazine. It's been in Brazil and for years, and in Brazil we have an interest to talk about genders and hybrid and contemporary woman, and I was the first columnist, journalist and black woman to write for Marie Claire. So I decided to get curious about this, because it's different from what I am. And as you see, those covers, they are from the Lansing people, a lot of black women here. And they question where are the black women in the fashion. They are everywhere, but they are not in the creation. They talk where are the black women in the position of deciding to be empowered woman, and also as an instrument of this person who criticizes and who shows and decide the fashion for black women. So I decided to go deep in Brazil and to understand, because I see a lot of black models, but I don't see any black woman making decision in this market here in Brazil. And when I proposed this, let's talk about woman, a dress made by a black woman. So this is very difficult to understand what is the black woman aesthetic in Brazil, because most of the time they think is textiles, a lot of patterns and colorfuls because they are Africans, but sometimes could be more streetwear. So this kind of I'm from a black poor origin, so, and I don't need necessarily to be like wearing like those a lot of colorfuls. So I decided to make this research and understand the different kinds of skins, because there is a lot of difference between them, and it's difficult to identify who is black or white, because sometimes we are visual in our personality, but not in the skins. And what bothers me as a black woman, because being an architect, this vision is that there is only one unique form of seeing themselves as a black woman, and this is not true. All with patterns or style, and not always is something that I am. So sometimes I'm different and I want to have. So I decided to look for those creative women and show that we have many kinds of creations and aesthetic in a black woman in Brazil. Also the ones that I consume and the ones that they create. So it's a different form to see the world and to show in this place, and I always criticize this and try to show. So my column in Marie Claire was born and to talk about black woman in Brazil. So we just start with Angela Brito. She's a designer, stylist, and she's been here years in Brazil that she was creating, and all of a sudden I realized that she was make a lot of beautiful. Why we don't talk about her fashion? Why we don't show her work? So nobody's talking about this, and so I get in contact with her, and it's in 2018, and I told her, well, I want to talk about you and to show and understand your aesthetic and the way, and I want to show that is an aesthetic that we can see that is different from what people say that a black woman makes. So she's in a different patamar, she's much better recognized. So she was called for many programs. She's getting a lot of more space, but she still has a lot of difficulty to have a sponsor or have help to show what she really makes. And she is from Cabo Verde. She has been years that she lives here in Brazil, so she makes fashion with her African from Cabo Verde and Brazil, and this is the way she creates. I fell in love with this her fashion because I think it's disruptive, and her clothes is very interesting because they transform and they become other. Is a blouse that becomes a skirt, and she has a very tailoring, nice way of making, and very also because she's very architectural. So I decided to show any other 5 or 6 women that I found when I was making research about Angela Brito. Isabella, she's a woman that makes shoes. She's from Rio, and she's black, and she's very simple, and she studies in university. She studied design, and she decided to make a design course of shoes. And so this piece here is the most important from her, and has been exported and has been in many other catalogs. But she still finds resistance in Brazil because it's difficult for them to sell. I also spoke with Lili about this. She has problems of charging her shoes, so she doesn't know how to charge because she thinks they value less because her self-esteem is low. She only works with Brazilian products, and her research, and they are all handmade. And she has a very small atelier in Rio de Janeiro, and her production is very small. So she has the control of everything, and she takes care of each step. Most of those women, they do all the process, the photos, the marketing, and the creation of products, because they are very lonely. Also because they don't have money most of the time to pay people, professionals to help them. So they have to do all the process by themselves. And also to sell the produce. Dandara is a black woman. She is from the suburb of São Paulo, and she makes those pieces. And at her house, they are made by ceramic. She makes by her hands. When I first met her, she used to use the oven of a friend because she didn't have it. But all those pieces, they are unique. No one is similar to the other one. She knows we are showing her work in a magazine. So I've been trying to identify all those women. So Lani, she has a better place in the market. She's more recognized, and she created in a very artisanal way as well. Her atelier is wonderful. She used all Brazilians' informations. They are made one by hand. So you can visit the atelier, and she's an example because she's more established. So it's inspiration for other women. But she's still, even being recognized, she doesn't have in big scale. So we are used to see other companies in big scales, and she's very small because of the culture and everything. This work is like a memory, is like you can see a lot of inspirations here from Brazil. Molina, she has a brand Nalimo, and she's indigenous. It's interesting to see as black woman has a special place. She makes this special work and brings the question of identity of her. And not always it is what people want to see from an indigenous person. So if you are black or if you're indigenous, why don't you show the indigenous production? So it's something that is being, they are trying to fight against this, and they want to create what they like and not what people think that they should create from their background. It's a conflict that they have between them because people ask so much and demand so much that they should do whatever from their background. Even her work being incredible, she still have people asking why she's not doing this or that. That is a stereotype. And she wants to recede this and to question this. Dani Guirra, she's a woman that works with metals and is very artisanal. She does these colors and she collects those pieces and she does by her hand. So like this, it can be a belt or also a collar. It's very rustic, but her work is wonderful and it's different because from what we see here. And is a woman that she does at her house in a very simple way, and she creates. So then Laís, she's very interesting because when I start thinking about this, and you see these stereotypes and the patterns, and you see the African patterns, what is the difference? So she draws all those patterns. She started making this, and then she started to print it and put on the pieces. So she makes bags, she makes shoes, she makes many other products from those drawings that she creates, and she makes it and she paints it. And it's incredible because the most wonderful thing from her work is the pattern that she creates. So she makes manually by herself. So she has a very beautiful story. She is a very simple woman. She used to sell food and clothes at the beach. So then she created this brand, and she draws a lot of, she has more than 15 patents and she sells. And then Thais, she has this aesthetic more young. She's from Rio, but you can see this pattern is also created by her. So it's interesting because they draw everything. They don't only draw the clothes, they draw the shoes. She doesn't only make the t-shirt, she makes the pattern. She makes and asks help for her mother. So she makes all the composition of everything and the aesthetic of the company. So I went to understand all this culture. So where we have the racism here in my country, and they find themselves in a situation where they don't have support. Sometimes they have to give up their creative work because they don't have the support that they need. So I've been writing about those women and telling people, you need to know this woman, you need to help and give support to them. Most of them I put on Marie Claire to show it and to show photos, but it's still very difficult. I spoke with Lily about this because most of them, they charge the price much lower than they should price it because of the low self-esteem, and they've been doing this for a very long while and they are not recognized. So, and they are very lonely because they don't have help, because they don't have money to pay people, so they live in a very lonely situation. They have a difficulty also to be recognized, so it takes a long while to be recognized. Most of them, people ask why you have a different interest, why you show in a different process of creation. And they are responsible for all of this process because also they don't have money, so they have to do everything, and they are questioned all the time from everybody, most of the time also from themselves, because of the low self-esteem that they have. Most of them has this singularity and lonely. I'm gonna leave this here for you. If you want names and if you want contact, please, we can help you on this because it's very interesting for you to get to know those works. Thank you very much.